G'day folks, the glutton for punishment that I am, I've decided to do a video on mutation stacking as I breed up some dinosaurs ready for the broodmother fight on my Ark Down Under series. So this will be a little bit of an interlude where I sort of describe a little bit about what's going on, and so I'm replacing some of the content on my channel, and who could pass up the opportunity to do some mutation stacking for that. These two are already got a lot of mutations on them. Well, I say a lot. They've got 11 each, which is 6 health mutations and 5 melee mutations, putting them pretty close to 400 melee at the moment as a base, and I may end up doing some more. Now, without going into the nitty-gritty of the numbers that go in the background of mutation stacking, we're going to keep it nice and simple for the episode. So with a mutation, it will gain a bonus 2 into a random stat, and it will also gain a mutation to a colour. And you won't necessarily see the colours as the colour regions. Sometimes the dinos don't actually have a colour region. There's like 6 colour regions, and not all of them are necessarily used by each dinosaur. When we have a look at each dinosaur in their ancestry, you'll actually see the counters for the mutations. We've got the matrilineal, the mother's side, and the patrilineal, the father's side, and they will pass the mutations on to their children. And this actually becomes very, very important later on. But at least to get our first mutation so we can explain a little bit more, we're going to get these started. So I've actually bred these up so that the mother and the father have identical stats, and they all have no mutations at all. And so here we go. I've got very, very high boosted the maturation. I've got high mating speed. Alright, as we'll actually see here, the mating started immediately. I've actually set the mating speed to 0, so it's an immediate thing. You don't actually have to wait at all. On official, this thing would take days. And so this is all done in the ini file, so if you don't plan on using mods, you can always have these settings for yourself. Alright, let's get the egg collection going. So this is the S+ hatchery. It just collects the eggs. It is running on refertilizer. If you don't have that, obviously you'll be manually picking up the eggs. And I'm going to be using the incubator. And this is the S+ version, but the default version of the game also has the incubator. And that's going to allow us to see what stats there are on the eggs. So let's pick a few of these up, pop them in the incubator. And what this will actually allow me to do is I can now have a look. And so we're looking for something which has level 228. And we should also see on here that there's a mutation counter, and so we'll actually get a bit of info on it. So this lot, oh there we go, we have one already. Let's go and switch that off. And I'm already swimming in eggs. Alright, so you, what did you end up getting? Looks like it got a melee. And so what we can actually see here is if I look at the 226, which actually gives me my base stats, be a good idea to write these down or take a screenshot of them. But I can see that the melee, the fist, has a 36, and then when we have a look at the one which got the mutation, it got a mutation from the father's side. The fist now has 38. So this ended up getting a melee mutation, and that's the one we're now going to keep. Get this guy out. Looking good. This is the Dino Storage mod, which basically replaces the cryopods. I'm not actually using it in the actual playthrough, but it's very, very handy to utilize. And we can kind of see, I guess, some of the mutations happened here. We've got the male. The male didn't have any white. I guess it could have picked up the white from the female. Grow the baby up. Put you away. Now, I got quite lucky by getting a male, as if I'd had a female, I would have only been able to breed a single female with a single male, whereas by having a male, I can utilize all of the 5 females that I had before, and we can start working on our second mutation. And so what we'll actually have a look at now is we show our ancestors, and we can see that from the father's side, we picked up 1 mutation. Alright, let's get second round going. There is a bit more stuff to explain, as there's some vagaries that go on in terms of how it passes down the numbers, but we need a few more mutations before it'll really illustrate itself. Now, let's see whether we got our second mutation. 228, 228, 226. We're looking for 230. Oh, there we go, we got a 230. 228, so 32, 26, 28. So this one here, it looks like we actually got a black mutation in terms of the color. So slot 0 got a black, and then a weight. So we got a weight of 30, whereas previously it was a weight of 28. And in this particular case, the male also again passed down the mutation. And so now we have 2 mutations on 2 different stats, but I wouldn't necessarily want to keep weight, as weight's not really relevant. But what we end up seeing here is there's actually quite a bit of a mixture. We've got a 228, so this is a female that's identical to the mutated male, so I can pull that out and we could actually breed them together. And you would think that that's a really good idea because you're matching their stats, so that way you're guaranteed to be able to notice when your mutations are going on. But it means that the count ends up going haywire, and we might as well illustrate that. So we might pop out slot number 2 and we're going to pop out slot number 8. So I tend to call the creatures by the mutations that they got. He got a single health mutation, so he can be H1. And when this one comes out, that'll be a health 1 and a weight 1. And this one will just be a health 1. They are coming up now. Cool. We hatch. Hatch. Whoa, we've got triplets. No, it's not triplets. But we can see that there was an interesting colour in there. So both of these 228s here, these ones are H1s. Should change name. H1, okay, and then we have our 230 here, over there, and you are a H1 weight 1. Alright, we can actually see there's actually some new colours into the mix that weren't actually there before. Specifically this very dark colour across the top, I suspect. Alright, we need these guys to grow up now, and then we're going to show off what's actually going to happen to the numbers. So, we'll just use commands for now to speed things up. Okay, next thing to do is to illustrate what's actually going on if we were to actually mutate some creatures together, which actually have the same mutations. So, we'll get these girls going. See if we even got any mutations. 228 and a 230. We actually got an extra mutation. And so what we end up seeing here is we can see that the creature has a mutation on the mother's side and the mutations on the father's side, but it has the exact same stats of the parents. So it actually inherits the mutations from the parents. It should only have a single mutation, but in this case it's got 2 mutations. So our mutation count has increased without actually gaining any new mutations on top of it. And so this is why I end up doing the mutations with a mutated creature and an original creature which doesn't have any mutations, because it prevents that count from growing. And as you probably would have seen before, just quickly stop that. When we look at these creatures and we show their ancestors, they have a cap on the number of mutations that they can get from the mother and the father. That won't necessarily stop you from mutating, as you can actually move the mutations from one side to the other through some selective breeding, but it does cut down your chances of mutations. And so obviously keeping the count low has some benefit, especially when you've got very, very fast speeds that I'm actually working with. You don't really need to care too much. And then in this case where we've gained an extra mutation, so we've got 3 mutations, but the actual count of real mutations, so the actual stats that are gained, it only actually has 2 mutations. So here we've actually lost one of the available counts. And that's what's going on with that one. And so it would be the same if I want to continue mutating, I'm going to need to take the new mutated creature, the one with the 2 mutations that I wanted to keep, and I have to now breed it with the original male. And this leads to an even bigger problem. So if you're trying to do mutation stacking for multiple stats, so I tend to go for health and melee, and so when you end up having a thing where you've got multiple stats going on, there's now a chance when I breed this with the original male, because I want to try and keep the mutation count down, I want to keep it to the actual mutations gained, we could end up having a dinosaur with the original male stats, which is a level 226. It could gain just the health, which would mean we'd get a creature with a level of 228. I could get one with both, which would end up being one with a level of 230. And we would then need to we need to wait for the creature which gets all of the stats, so a level 230 creature, and then that creature has to be chosen for that very small chance of getting a mutation, and we need it to be a mutation in the stat that we want. And so this is where mutation stacking ends up being quite a long process, because this creature needs to breed with this creature, get all of the good stats, and get a mutation in the stat that we want. And I did that multiple times, over and over and over again, until we got to that point over there, those level 248s, and those have 5 health mutations and 6 health mutations and 5 melee mutations. And I was aiming for 400 melee as a base before imprinting, and I kind of wanted to get to about 15,000 health prior to imprinting, but I'm not sure how far I'll take it, because really next up I'm going to be breeding these guys to get a small army, and we're going to go take on the broodmother. But the question will be, which broodmother do I take on? I'm planning on doing a single broodmother fight for the Arc Down Under series, but then I'll do another interlude afterwards where I take the creatures on and we go and do all of the fights. I'll go and do the beta, gamma and alpha fight. It may even be that I just do I really don't know which one I want to do. Maybe you can leave a comment down below. Which fight should I take on for the Arc Down Under? Should I just go straight for the alpha and then do an interlude episode afterwards where I take on all 3? Or should I just do a nice quick simple one for the episode, add it as part of the narrative, and then do an interlude where I do the alpha fight? Who knows? Now I just got to think and see whether I've forgotten anything else about mutation stacking. Okay, so we'll go over what you need to do in the case where you've actually broken the cap on both sides with your breeding. Say for example, maybe you've done something wrong or you're deliberately doing it, and you've exceeded the cap on both the mother's and the father's side. You need at least one available spot on one side for a mutation to be able to occur, and without that it will just have none. And so you've broken each on each side. What you'll have to do is you'll take your mutated creature and try and breed it with a creature which actually has available slots. And so this one is actually my original, and so you only need one. So if it was a female, you probably want to have a spare slot on the female side. If it was a male, you want to have a spare spot on the male side. But when you breed these together, especially with one which doesn't have any mutations, you're going to breed these together until you get your original creature's stats. But because it's bred with an unmutated creature, all of the numbers are going to shift from one side to the other, and we'll illustrate that now. We'll see if we can get ourselves a new creature out with all of the stats. And because I'm only breeding one at a time here, it may take a little while. Obviously with the fast stats, they're just going to keep popping out eggs, so we'll eventually get there. Okay, we got 230. Alright, save all that. So now when we have a look at this 230, we can see that because all of the mutations came from the father's side, so that the 230 over here is the male. Okay, so this is the source of all of the mutations, even though it had mutations on the mother and the father's side. Because all of the mutations are being sourced from the male, they've all been pushed to the male side. Then all of a sudden you've got a creature, and if it had exceeded both caps by, let's say, one was 40 and one was 50, the new count here would be 90, but all 90 would be on the male side, and the female side would have 0. And all of a sudden you have a creature which has available slots that you can mutate to another. And so you could selectively breed these, and so you could end up having a situation where now that we've got this female with 230 with all the mutations on one side, you could do the reverse. You could breed it the other way so that you end up with a female with the same stats. And so you've got a 90 mutation creature all on the male side and another one which is all 90 on the female side. And you'll be able to breed them together. They have identical stats. And all of a sudden you're pushing out babies which have got just incredible numbers of mutations. They won't be realistic in terms of the actual mutations that it's gained, but you'll still be able to continue. It's just that those numbers are just going to keep going astronomically. Alright, to finish up the episode on mutation stacking, one of the ways to create that super dinosaur or the perfect dinosaur is we have a whole heap of unwanted levels in things like movement and oxygen and things like that you don't actually want those points taken up, because there are actually caps to levels. So based on difficulty there is actually a statistical cap that you can actually take the dinosaur through levels and through mutation stacking, and you know there is a ceiling that you can actually get to, and I believe there is actually a ceiling on the number of mutations that you can get as well. But one of the things that you can do to really, I guess, push the creature to its limit is you go out and you find the lowest level creature you can possibly find. And so with the levels that I've got on this particular server, the increments of 5, so I would go out and I would find a level 5 Rex. And with a level 5 Rex, it will have the lowest possible stats in terms of levels into the stats that are available. because it only has 5 wild levels to work with, and you can actually damage the dinosaur while you're taming it to bring its levels down even further in terms of the number of levels that it gains through the taming effectiveness. Right, so you try and get the lowest possible level possible. You breed that with your mutated creatures, or at least you breed it into the program, and that way you can breed out the stats that you don't want, releasing all of those levels, and so you end up having this very low level dinosaur which might have the highest possible melee and health that you want, but then has the lowest stamina, weight, oxygen of movement, and you bring them right down so that they become levels that are available for you to mutate back into the creature, into the stats that you really want. And that's something that a lot of people do with their breeding programs to create the perfect bloodlines that they're actually working with. I don't tend to do it because they're not actually needed to be able to do the bosses. Now that's more for other purposes, people who are perfectionists, or people who want the best possible dinosaur to do their PvP and things like that. But against the bosses, even like the alpha and stuff like that, that's not really a necessary length to go to, as just breeding a few mutations in, like if you get to 10 or 20 mutations, I mean 20 is already going extraordinarily far, but if you can get yourself like a base melee of 400, and you can get yourself around the 12 to 15,000 health as a base, just putting levels on the creatures after that will be enough to take on any of the bosses in the game. Alright, well I think I've waffled on enough about mutation stacking, and yeah, I guess thanks for listening in, and I'll catch you in the next one, where I'm taking on the Broodmother, and we'll do another interlude where I actually do all of the boss fights, before we move on with Ark Down Under. I'll have to start doing some more caves as we progress towards the Megapithecus. Shouldn't really need to do too much in terms of creatures. Unless I find some other... I probably still need to get some things like Uranus and things like that. But we have everything that we need to basically progress all the way through. And yeah, maybe a gear, so we can use that for the tech cave. But we'll see. And I guess you'll see as I progress through Ark Down Under. Thanks for listening in, and I'll catch you in the next one.